So, a questline warlock, or seedlock as it's known as, is a real problem. However, I've been very lucky. At my low legend rank, I haven't been facing many of these warlocks. I face the occasional warlock. The rest of the time, I end up facing what I would define to be a normal deck, i.e. a deck that I can play against with my off-meta decks, still have a competitive, fun game. So, in this video, we're going to forget that warlock exists. Don't let this clip put you off. We're going to proceed to have some fun with my favourite deck of all time, Shudderwock Shaman. And of course, this is a deck courtesy of my good friend, DustyScales, also known as Agrius. Now, before we get into the deck and look at the footage, I thought it would be helpful to look at a few facts about this deck author to get to know him a little bit better. So the first deck that he used for getting legend was Reno Shaman back in the Dark Moon Fair meta, back when things were not so great for shamans. That was a pretty good achievement. He got rank 500 legend with his first homebrew hunter deck during the previous expansion, and he got to rank 181 legend with Reno Zacchus Shaman, a deck that he had tweaked and modified himself. So his experience with Shaman is significant, but in general he's happy to engage with Reno decks as a whole, and is sort of classified as a Reno specialist. So on the whole, Agrius, DustyScales is a great deck strategist when it comes to Shudderwock. He has a deep knowledge of individual cards, and he's spent a lot of time talking to me about Shudderwock decks. He's a very good friend, a great human being, and an upstanding member of the community who deserves recognition for the time he puts into his testing with Shudderwock decks. He's always testing and refining, rinse and repeat. His commitment to the Shudderwock cause is absolute, but most importantly, he is someone that cares deeply for the community of people that he engages with. Now, I asked him for an interesting Hearthstone gaming fact that he wanted to share, linked to this deck, and our discussion turned to Varian, the King of Stormwind, as you can see, is in this deck. Now, the card text for Varian says, draw a rush minion to gain rush, repeat for taunt and divine shield. Now, Varian is designed to only draw optimally in the same way that Countess Ashmore does. So, for example, think of Ziliax. Ziliax has taunt, divine shield and rush. Now, think of the Canal Slogger, which is a lifesteal and rush. With Varian, you wouldn't get Ziliax as your first rush minion if you already have Canal Slogger in the deck. So let's think about that for a moment. Ziliax will always show up as a divine shield minion through Varian if you lack other divine shield minions in your deck, or Ziliax will show up as a taunt minion if you lack other taunt minions in your deck, and assuming you have another divine shield minion in the deck. So the design of Varian here with that battle cry is pretty awesome. If Ziliax is the only divine shield, taunt and rush minion left in your deck, well, in this case, the first trigger from Varian's card text will occur, so you'd only get Varian with rush. Okay, so some pretty interesting information there about Varian, King of Stormwind, and how that card works. It took me a while to digest that, but when you really do think about it, the design of that card really does shine, and it is an awesome, awesome card in my opinion. So, the deck as a whole speaks for itself. It's Shudderwock Reno Shaman, so you've got your healing against aggro decks. Remember, we are pretending Warlock does not exist in this meta. And you've also got a number of new card inclusions beyond Varian from the new United in Stormwind expansion. So we're going to have a look at this deck now in action on the Wild Mode ladder, and our first full game is going to be against a warrior. And there he is. There's Varian, but we're going to throw him away. We're also going to throw away Bolner. So, I've been facing a number of questline pirate warriors. Will this be a pirate warrior? No, it's not. This is going to be an odd warrior with tank up. So they will specialise with clearing boards with AoE. They will have access to board clears. But does that really matter for us? What is our objective in this game? Our objective is to play enough of our battle cries and to get value with the Shudderwock. Right? That's our objective. And if we can do that, if we can get enough value from our Shudderwock, if we can replicate some Shudderwocks on the board and get them to stick, and then keep doing that turn after turn, we just win the game, right? We have the Lothair Battle Cry, which hopefully block out big spells. So this odd warrior is looking at an eventual game state that they won't be able to deal with. So is it worth just conceding and moving on at this point? Or maybe they feel like they have a chance. Maybe they feel like they can disrupt my Shudderwock end game strategy. Let's see how they do. Oh wow. Well, that's an interesting use of Blade Storm, dealing with two relatively inoffensive minions. Interesting. So, is this just going to be tank up now and pass? Yes, it is. To be expected. Tempo Ziliax, I think, is the play here, just to get the stats on board. Unity, precision. We didn't rush into anything, we didn't get any healing value, but that's fine. Now they are an odd deck, and that means Dirty Rat is not a threat to us here. Usually Dirty Rat would be a problem. We would always fear Dirty Rat pulling our Shudderwock or pulling an important card, an important Battlecry card. So what else do they have that could disrupt us? That is the question. And I haven't faced an Odd Warrior in so long, and I've not played Odd Warrior for quite some time, that I can't quite remember what they run. This will break me. Not a mistake. And of course, there is the potential for new cards from the expansion being run in this deck. So there's a bit of uncertainty. Primitive. What did Odd Warrior get from the United in Stormwind expansion? Did they even get anything worthwhile running? And if they did, maybe our opponent is just playing an older deck. After all, you know, if it works, why change it? Okay. Oh wow! The committal of the Barov and the Whirlwind. Wow. Well, let's see what we get here. Oh, that's unfortunate. That is really unfortunate. Does Mutanus survive? Yes, it does. That means we can get Zola value on this turn. Maybe Grumble was also a possibility. And we could have developed Grumble onto the board just as a body as well. It's a 7/7 body. But this is fine. Dirty Rat. Okay, maybe we can pull something here. Oh dear, that's pretty big. Do you know, I would have liked to pull that from Mutanus. What does Mutanus pull? Oh. It's not terrible.
Look at me.
It's a useful card for them in terms of armor gain. And now it's gone. But we would have preferred for that to be the other way around. Right? We would have preferred for Mutanus to have pulled the Baku. So maybe we should have played Mutanus first. Now Nobleman is a very interesting new card. But for now, Zephyrus into Tyrion is what I'm looking for. I just want board presence. I was tempted for a moment by Gorehowl, just because it's cool and I like it as a weapon. Oh, here we go. Colite Oracle. This is a bit of a problem. So now, the memories of flooding back. These are the disruption tools that they've got. And thank goodness our Shudderwock is in hand. Oh no! Oh no, Varian. We lost Varian. Oh, that's terrible. That's a crime. We must make the warrior pay for that. Alright, Lightning Storm. It's fine. So, there's no need to hero power here. I'd like a free slot on the board. Okay, we've baited out the brawl. Of course. Of course. Of course they stole our weapon. Oh dear. Okay. I am thinking Bolner and Nobleman here.
How am I using this? Out of my way, peasant.
Out of my way, peasant. I love that. Okay, Shudderwocks back to hand. Fantastic. And I don't know about the hero power. I've been avoiding it for the last turn or two. I guess I'm just conscious of an eventual Shudderwock turn. And I don't want to be returning totems to hand. I just want to be careful here. I think at this stage in the game, against this kind of opponent, the totems aren't going to be doing a whole lot. If I was going up against an aggressive opponent, yes, maybe the totems add value. Taunt Totem to stop a bit of aggression hitting my face, for instance. I'll give my opponent credit. They are playing very swiftly. This is great. Alright, here we go. That's a good hit. What else do we hit? Oh, that's decent too. So, why have I played the Shudderwock now, you ask? After all, I hadn't played Grumble. My reason for playing it is because I've already got a couple of other copies in hand, and I wanted to tease out a bit more removal, like what you're seeing now. Oh no. Oh, that's unfortunate with the Lotheb there. We needed that in the Battlecry pool. But it doesn't really matter because now we're going to get infinite value from Lord Jaraxxus. My deck is running out of cards. It doesn't matter. It really does not matter. Why doesn't it matter, you ask? Because we can press a button. A certain button that is just going to generate value. Inferno! That is the button that we press. These 6/6s, the stream of 6/6s that we can make, can put our opponent under pressure going forward. That is one option for us. Just keep pressing the button. The other option is to start playing more Shudderwocks from hand. Inferno! I love it. Absolutely love it. So, we have seen one brawl.
Now let her end.
I want to tease out the other brawl. Keeping in mind that we do not have the lower third battle cry in the Shudderwock pool. There it is, there's a second brawl. So when we do play more Shudderwocks and get them replicated on the board, they are going to be vulnerable to spells from our opponent. But we have seen both brawls. We've seen both shield slams. We've seen both blade storms. We've seen Barov. What do they have left? What is left, you ask? Inferno! Alright. How do they respond? Oh, okay, that's pretty good. Now, unless there's something miraculous in that hand, how are they going to deal with the Shudderwocks that continue to come down? But I just want to get some more battle cries into the pool. Given that fatigue is going to be a problem going forward, I want the Reno Jackson battle cry in the pool. I wonder if they play Archivist Elysiana. I wonder if that is one of the 3 cards in hand. Or maybe they don't.
This would be a good time for a mess.
Maybe they just think the Dr. Boom hero power will be enough to carry them for the remainder of the game. It is still a pretty good hero power. If you're looking for board presence, you can get the mechs. That's pretty good. But that mech? Really? Give a minion reborn after we play it. Oh dear. So we can give the Shudderwock reborn here. Okay, so is that the Nobleman battle cry that's going off? Is that why? Yeah. That is why we're getting these additional cards back to hand. The Temple Enforcer, the Lurker Below. Is that a good thing? Do we even want that battle cry in this pool? Because these minions that are being generated, they're taking up hand space, aren't they? So are we saying that before we go off with the Shudderwock battle cry, we need to ensure that all other minions are gone from our hand? Although, the Nobleman battle cry says create a golden copy of a random card in your hand, right? A random card in your hand. So that could be any card. That could be a spell, it could be a minion. So, if we want to be super careful in terms of not filling our hand with garbage, you want everything out of your hand before you play the Shudderwock then. Is that sound logic? I don't know. Either way, the Nobleman has done well for me in this game. Because it did give me additional Shudderwock, which is a pretty big deal. So our opponent has one card left in hand. One last hope. What is that card? And can it save them? I don't think so. Well, it's not a minion. Tannis is not interacting with it.
My jaws that bite, my claws that catch.
Inferno! Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, so this is game over then. Surely. Oh, okay, Bullock. That's fine. All credit then to my opponent for not conceding. For letting me have fun here. For letting me see this through. So will they put their last hopes into this mech creating hero power? What can it generate for them that saves them? Is there a mech that can save them for 8 mana? No. Oh dear, this is great. And there we go. So that was my first experience playing Nobleman. That was good fun. Right, let's look at one more game. So against the Paladin, I've been meeting a couple of different kinds of Paladin at this point on the ladder. I've been meeting buff Paladin, and there's also been odd Paladin. I'm going to keep this hand. You may be wondering why I've kept the Toxfin. I've kept the Toxfin because this deck runs 3 Murlocs. And any time that I've played Ice Fishing with 3 Murlocs in the deck, I'm always unlucky. I always get, as one of the 3 Murlocs, I always get Mutanus. Which means that Ice Fishing very rarely draws me the Toxfin Flurgle combo, which is often what I need to clear an aggressive board. And that is why, for once, I've actually kept Toxfin. Thinking that if I get Ice Fishing, it will draw me Flurgle for sure, and then I've got my combo. Anyway, this Paladin is spreading the dudes around here. I could have coined out a Lightning Storm. I think it's worth holding on to it. One of the things that DustyScales has told me in the past is to hang on to cards until you really need to use them. Not to waste resources. Really get value out of them. Make them last. Use them at the most appropriate time. Don't rush their usage. Like here, I think Lightning Storm is fine. There are 6 bodies on that board. The Paladin now has to start all over again, generating those dudes. And that's going to continue to buy me a little bit more time to charge up Hagatha's Scheme. I think with Hagatha's Scheme here, the key thing is to charge it up to 3 damage AoE. Because what we are going to be counting on is Quartermaster to come down soon enough to buff those dudes. 3 attack, 3 health. Now what could really screw us is Lothraxion, because the dudes will get Divine Shield. And that's going to make it hard for Toxfin Flurgle. That's going to make it hard for Hagatha's Scheme to kill off the dudes. So as long as we don't see Lothraxion, we're pretty happy here.
Reporting for duty.
And there it is, 2 arms men. Men with 2 arms. Fancy that. Oh, hello, Ice Fishing. Okay. Goodbye, board. Or goodbye, most of the board. Goodbye to the dudes. So now we just have to be conscious of the next Quartermaster. And once the second Quartermaster is dealt with, again assuming there's no Lothraxion, we should be fine. Alright, there are my 2 Murlocs. Most importantly, we have the Flurgle. I do really like the Canal Slogger. That healing's so great. 6 healing. And now we heal to 30. Pretty good. There is an argument to say that I should not have revealed the Ice Fishing when I did, because the opponent now knows that, well, assumes that I've probably got Flurgle Toxfin in hand. I could have waited a bit longer. But if you wait, you run to the risk of, drawing either Flurgle or Mutanus, and then Ice Fishing gets less value because you spend your 2 mana, you only draw 1 final Murloc. I guess I just wanted to cash in on the value of that spell, draw the remaining 2 Murlocs. But I guess my opponent won't commit the second Quartermaster until they see Flurgle Toxfin combo, right? Or not? There it is! Wait, why have they committed? Surely they saw Ice Fishing. Surely they know. Oh, hello. Well, we don't need Flurgle or Toxfin. All we need is this. Look at the value. And the sound effects. It's so great. Yes, that was quite the triumph. Okay.
This is your moment.
Concede. Wow. So if there is one thing that is clear from this video, the lurker below is OP. Okay, massively OP. Look at the damage that it did on that board. Look at the value, the animation, the sound effect. It was also glorious. No, I'm joking. Lurker Below is not OP. I view it as quite a fair card. So if anyone from Blizzard is listening to this and has heard me say this card is OP, please don't nerf it. There are other things that need nerfing. There are other things that need sorting out in wild mode. The least of your problems, Blizzard, is the Lurker Below. So, ladies and gentlemen, DustyScales' Reno Shudderwock Shaman. What a beautiful deck. What a wonderful experience to play, assuming you are not going up against Warlock, whether it is just plain old Dark Lair Warlock, or whether it is Seedlock or Questline Warlock. As I say, if I come across Warlock, I just concede, I move on now. That's what I do. And at my rank on the Legend ladder being quite a low rank, thankfully I'm not seeing too many Warlocks. This deck was my first experience playing Nobleman. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I enjoyed it, I liked it. I was a bit shocked in the late game when the Nobleman battle cry was being repeated in the Shudderwock pool, and I was just getting these minions, you know, replicated in hand, Temple Enforcer, the Lurker below, when I didn't want them. So there is a consideration there on whether Nobleman is good in that late game. I can understand that if you do want a certain card being replicated in your hand early on in the game, maybe the Nobleman does have great utility, but I think you need to balance that out with what it could do to you in the late game, as you saw in the earlier clip. I did not get to play Varian in this video, unfortunately. In one game, I believe he was milled, and in the other, well, we just never got to him. So, Varian, we will play him at some point in the future, and I will definitely feature him more extensively in other videos, I'm sure. After all, there are other decks that can benefit from Varian, King of Stormwind. We just need to be patient, and we will get our value. So I'd like to say a big thank you to DustyScales for this deck. I'm hoping that with the upcoming nerfs in the future, I'm hoping that Shudderwock Shaman will become more playable on the ladder, assuming that Warlock gets nerfed heavily. But if it doesn't happen, that is absolutely fine, because I understand there is a lot of anger in the community regarding Warlock. You know, they're completing their entire questline on like turn 4, turn 5, and then you're just dead from that point on. So I understand there's a lot of annoyance in regards to that. And look, if Blizzard change it, great. If they don't, that's also fine too. Because as I say, if I face a Warlock, I will simply concede and play another game and hope not to face a Warlock. I think that's what it could come to. But this is not going to stop me. Warlock is not going to stop me from enjoying the decks that I like to play, and in this case, Shudderwock Shaman. It was interesting, pre-expansion, as the cards were being released and as they were being hyped up, people were getting really excited in the Shudderwock Shaman community about cards like Bolner, for example. For cards like Nobleman, Varian, cards that could do some interesting things with the Shudderwock, could go very nicely in a Shudderwock deck. And people were really starstruck by it in some ways, waiting to play it, getting very anxious to play it, getting very excited, very hyped up, and then the expansion dropped, and what does everyone play? Warlock and Dark Glare with the questline, ruining people's hopes and dreams. So I think that Blizzard do need to take a careful look at this. And look, they could even go as far as creating a different version of the Demon Seed questline for Standard and for Wild, if they felt the need to differentiate between the power level of the card in the two different formats. I don't think they will do that, but maybe it could be an option. At the very least, I think it should be made harder for them to complete that quest line, just to allow people to have a bit more time to react as it's being played, to put up a bit of opposition to it, a bit of a defense to it. So thank you very much for joining me, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you all again very soon for more Wild Mode fun, but until next time, please stay safe, please look after yourselves, and as always, please be good to one another.